So I've been here for 25 minutes and people have been yakking. That's why we're late.
Don't listen to him. They know that now.
All right, good evening, everyone. We are here for the budget review session of our annual budget discussions, looking at the mayor's proposed budget. And we will be also voting on changes tonight and some other items. So let's get started. Call the meeting to order here at 6:39.
I asked Sarah to fill in for Michelle, just see
Hi,
how,
Michelle.
and I said yes.
All right. So do you want to start with the changes that we've got there, John?
Sure. I'll read the first one. Amend the 2024 general fund and sewer fund budgets to incorporate approved CSCA management handbook increases. General fund increases estimated $1,262,263 will be funded by a reduction in the 2024 general fund contingency budget. Sewer fund increases estimated at $208,374 will be funded by an appropriation of fund balance in sewer fund. Estimated financial impact I'm listing as 208,374 because the sewer fund changes will actually increase expenditures in the budget. They're offset by fund balance. In the general fund, we're just redistributing, we're taking from contingency and putting into another bucket. So that is the first main report.
All right. So any questions for John on this one? Then motion to discuss? Second. Steve Shabbat, second by. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries 4-0.
5-0?
5-0. 6-0. I was gonna say unanimous from now on. If y'all are gonna get that technical.
I have to be here for some purpose. Can't vote, so I might as well count.
You count, you always count
Aw,
in our hearts. All right. John, next one.
The second one, amend the 2024 general fund and sewer fund budgets to increase the budget salary for the director of IT to $111,380. The general fund portion of the increase will be funded by a reduction in the 2024 general fund contingency budget. The sewer fund portion of the increase will be funded by an appropriation of fund balance in the sewer fund. Estimated financial impact, actually, I have to adjust that. If you want to it'll just be the sewer fund piece. I can, by the time you're done signing it.
I think everybody was here during that conversation too, right? Yes.
Anybody got any questions? If you do have questions, we have to go into executive session. Okay. All right. So John read it out already. Motion to discuss. Motions. Shabbat, second.
I'll say.
All right. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries unanimously.
How many? 6.
0 is the crucial number there. 0 complaints.
Just going to give you that number right.
Did you read this one out? Oh, no, this is the finished one, sorry.
That's it.
It's coming back around. Aegon Sheila.
I missed it.
I thought he was dead. Davis Painter?
I see the first one.
Yeah, I was curious about that too, why Aegon Sheila signed it.
I just want to make sure tuition synchronous. The financial impact of the second one is 2,551. I can write it down.
2,551.
This is the second one.
That's the second
That's the sewer fund. Once again, with this position, with this change, we're taking out a contingency on the general fund and sewer fund where, appropriating fund balance.
You
And that's
just-
financial. I'm ready with the next one, whenever you're ready.
All right,
Amend the 2024 general fund budget to redistribute common council salaries as follows. Alderman at large, 12,050, majority leader, 10,550, minority leader remove, alderman, 80,400, which is 8 at $10,050 each, page $500, saying no change, total 103,500, estimated financial impact, 0.
I think it's a kid, so, yeah, it's just,
So.
it's hard to know which box to sign, and I think it's
yeah, we got 5 on there.
what we did was take the minority leader, because the majority leader and minority leader get $500 for their hard work. But when you don't have a minority leader, we don't have to pay them for their hard work. And considering we're all Democrats going into the new year, we're not going to have a minority leader, so we took that $500 that was allotted for that and then split it with 10.
And that builds on, do you know the history behind it?
I think you mentioned it. I thought
You know,
wrote it
Maybe you can
down.
reiterate.
Go on.
Okay,
Can't we
yeah.
just all go out to dinner?
But just barely.
We're McDonald's.
Maybe.
Maybe.
A couple of years ago, we looked we compared salaries for the mayor and members of the common council with other municipalities of a similar size and determined that we were on the low end of the scale. Especially considering for the mayor that it's very much a managerial position, so you want to make sure, hire good help, basically. And so, but at the same time, the common council also was below the average, significantly below. But what we decided, so we bumped up our salaries once or twice, and then we decided the next thing, in order to not have that happen again, would be to add a cost of living increase every year. We can't put that into a statute because that would encumber a future council in terms of money spent.
I see.
So we have to remind ourselves of this, which we didn't do this time around, but it turns out since there's not going to be a minority leader, that this pretty much covers, is a little bit above the 3.2%, 3.8% that inflation's gone up this year. Not much, but it just, the math works easily. So,
So will there be a change when if at some point there is a minority leader again?
well, next time we have to remember to include this request before the budget comes to us, so that it's included from the get-go. So if there is a minority, there wouldn't be next time, because unless some pretty drastic things happen, there will not be a minority leader in the next budget either. So it would be the 2 years from now.
I don't even think, yeah, I don't even.
We wouldn't even know
think
then.
Because it's Democrats of the city, or everybody won on the Democratic line, I should say.
Yeah.
So therefore, because that's like how Michael Oliveri was the minority leader, but if he was a Democrat, he won on the Republican line.
Yeah,
And therefore, he was able, the way our rules have it, he was able to become minority leader. Right now, even if somebody were to change their party, they still won on the Democratic line. So I don't think there is any way that we could.
yeah.
Could if somebody resigned and the mayor appointed a Republican,
Yeah,
right?
So there only needs to be one
Proves me wrong.
person of a party for there to
I'm
be.
not giving out any info here.
But they also have to accept the position. Because Michael had that line, but he did not, in his second year, he didn't really accept the position. So he didn't give a speech, he didn't
Oh, I
do some
see.
of those.
So there are requirements that go with being the majority and not the minority.
Yeah, you have to give a speech.
And you have to be on all the meetings, or all the committees.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh, all
why
the
Patrick
committees,
O'Reilly,
okay.
he didn't want to do it, even
I
though he
see.
could
I
have.
see.
Because, yeah, you then have to represent, the minority has to represent each committee.
Got it.
And because there's only one minority, that means that's you. And
I
so
see.
poor Mike was served on every committee when he was on minority leader, so
I
you
see.
definitely earned that.
yeah.
Okay.
Poor guy. Yeah,
Thanks for that explanation.
yeah, sounds.
The next potential change.
Was that voted on?
Do we vote on it?
No.
We didn't vote on that one yet.
Okay.
Naima, do you have any questions?
No.
Just jump in. I'm gonna keep trying to look over, but just start yelling at us or throw things at us if you have questions.
I'll make
I thought you were smiling.
Yeah.
So would be motion to discuss.
Where is it?
Right.
Oh, we forgot to put the zeros on the end of all of these. All right. Do we have, did you read this one out loud, right?
I did.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a motion to discuss?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Measure passes unanimously.
I'll take the lead on this one, David. So this is one we didn't talk about where that would come from.
Okay, so this is the discussion that I brought forth about adding a consultant to the common council budget. So I don't know, I mean, I could talk it through again, or, and I think everybody was either there or listened to it, so I don't know if anybody has any questions or any thoughts. Like I said at the last, when we discussed it, I had suggested 15,000 with the knowledge that we don't really know what, it could change once we figure out the tasks, because it would be a task oriented, because it's a consultant and not an employee, so it's not an hourly fee. It would be tasks, so we could kind of build it to what we want. Also, depending on the process, if it goes out for RFQ, is that the one that you recommended? We may not know the exact number. So 15 was just a number that I kind of threw out there, but I had also asked if anybody would think about it and come back with any suggestions on sounds good or higher or lower. So if anybody wants to jump in.
I think that sounds good. And I guess my question would be, how do we come up with a description of the consultancy? Because there'll be a process, right? There'll be a description of the consultancy. Somebody will apply to take it on, and then there'll be a contract that would go.
What I'm thinking is to kind of have, we already discussed, and I took notes on some of the ideas that you all suggested too on some potential tasks.
Yep.
So come up with a list of tasks that could be feasible, and then work closely with John and Barbara to make sure that that stays in line with the consultant idea, and then kind of build it from there.
Okay.
Megan, let me ask some questions. So you're gonna do an RFQ and do this as a best value procurement for services?
Yes.
Are you gonna have a team of people that do this interview with this individual?
Yeah, well, my idea, and I think I said it in the meeting, was to have, me, majority leader, and maybe another council member. Whether we have anybody else from the staff, we could discuss, but yeah, I would like it to be a little miniature panel,
Right.
not just,
Some sort of a ranking system on their qualifications.
are you volunteering to be on this? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm nominating.
All in favor of Bob doing
Yeah.
it? It's over.
Definitely a volunteer.
That didn't work out well.
It worked out very well.
And you want to do it as a task, cost per task instead of an hourly. Oh, why?
Because that more aligns with what a consultant would do.
I didn't know lots of consultants that work on a cost plus hourly basis.
Oh, then I
So I mean.
mean, this is all
I
a
would
very
think-
new
I would think
process
flexible
to
enough
me,
be
so
able-
yeah.
If the consultant wants to do it that way,
Yeah.
and if we think it would work for us, I don't see any real obstacle in going in that direction. Yeah,
I hope
And
there was an
I
option.
would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. I work as a consultant, and I work on a cost plus basis myself. And it works very well. Because that way I'm only billing for the actual work I do, and if
Right.
there's a task that I have said I was gonna do, and for some reason the organization decides they don't want that task, they're not obligated, and I'm not obligated to carry forth with that.
Yeah, because I work as a consultant.
Mhm.
And yeah, part of my work is as a consultant, it's pretty much task, but that's because of the nature of what I do.
Well, and you know, from a consultant's perspective, the potential for greater profit is not task-based. You know, the security, you know, if you do it by an hourly fee, you know, cost plus, you're not gonna have a windfall because you're not gonna finish anything particularly early because you're getting paid by hour.
That's right.
So some consultants prefer tasks because you can do better. There's more risk, but you can do better. And some prefer hourly because there's no risk, you don't do as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open.
But it's better for the employer if you actually are doing the cost plus, because in some
Can
cases, well, can be, or not, it just depends, everybody takes a risk.
I would love to get all the information I can, anybody has on this, and I have, John and Barbara have been really helpful, because this is all something out of my wheelhouse, even though I've worked as a consultant, it's very different, kind of.
I mean, both are possibilities. Obviously, if it's based on hourly basis, you need a methodology to be able to track that person's time, and have oversight of that person's time. So that's always a consideration if you're going to do hourly. You
Okay,
know, who's actually monitoring and tracking time.
Right, and reviewing the.
When it's task-based, it's based on task, right? If this is done, or if you haven't agreed upon monthly or, you know, recurring amount, you know, then as long as you know that that work is being done, you have amount to pay.
That's another way, is a recurring amount, so much a month.
yeah.
You know, we have consultants who get that, we have lead consultants
Okay,
who are paid a monthly
Yeah.
amount, so.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm open to
Yeah,
it.
Sure.
There's different
Because I
tracks.
I don't know a lot about.
I'm happy to, I get a lot of, hired a lot of consultants, so I'm happy to.
Volunteer.
Yes.
No, you've never been heard yes this time.
yes, and I'd be happy to help also, because I've also worked for organizations and like consultants, so.
I actually wish, because obviously when I do consulting work as a musician, I wish music schools would actually teach you some of this stuff. But
they don't.
they definitely don't, because, yeah.
So you're earmarking 15,000 for this?
That's
Do you
what I
think that's enough with all of us? I mean, you know, if I'm reaching out for a task or some support or research or whatever, we have a lot of constituents in here. I don't know, especially with the rates of salary and hourly salary going up. 15 is pretty low to me.
Drew,
It sounds
I
low.
threw out 15 because I want this to happen, and if that's what I can get, that's what I will take. If you all want to say 25, 30, I'm okay with that too. So,
We just want the position. I love that I love the idea of having someone that we can possibly lean on to take some of the workload off of the work that we're doing on a daily, you know, listening and following up with residents. So with inflation going up, 15 is fairly low, and we want to incentivize, you know, people to jump on this position, and we want to show them respect for their knowledge and the work that they're going to do.
I guess it really depends on how much we're gonna ask that person to do.
I have
there's-
things already in my head. When you brought it up, I'm like, oh, this is great.
Like, they're not doing the constituent work that we're
No,
doing.
no, we're
They're doing the
doing-
research.
Exactly,
Right,
but
right.
there's so much to do. The back and forth with Barbara and or you or you know, whomever.
I also view
And
this,
there's 9 of us.
I also view this as a pilot year
Sure.
too.
Yes.
So, you know, because it's gonna take, I mean, even like me talking about this and bringing this forward, I've learned so much from John and Barbara. I've learned
Yeah.
so much from Bob in the last
Yeah.
10 minutes. You know, so I really do feel like this is a pilot year. That's why I also didn't mind offering the lower amount. But I mean, if everybody wants to say 25,
No, I understand it's true. I just feel we're gonna run through that.
15,000 is roughly 2 full days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. Okay, at $20 an hour.
That would be 20.
I should add too, I mean, there's likely to be, you know, from whatever time you start this process, you're looking at least probably 60 days.
Right.
So you're looking at a prorated amount, right?
Right.
You know, so if the start date was April 1st at a $20,000 annual rate, you would only pay that person 15,000 or that firm 15,000 for next year, so.
I would also suggest
I
a
mean,
lower rate.
whatever that start date is, right?
would suggest the lower rate because we can always increase it later.
That was gonna be my
Yeah.
next point.
Right?
If it's.
We're not locked into that amount of money. If it turns out we just find lots and lots of uses for this person, there are some places where we can find money. John hides little pots of money all around City Hall.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
But we do,
Okay.
but we do have a general fund for breakfast.
Okay.
This is a continuation of every meeting we've had so far in the budget.
I start off.
Ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
because,
flexibility there.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
and, there's, yeah. So is everybody else okay then with 15,
Yes.
treating this as a learning experience?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have to figure out where is it coming from?
I'm sorry, I just have to add this. $20 an hour is not a lot today. Young people are getting paid $20 an hour working at McDonald's. I'm serious.
Mhm.
It's $18, $20, 25 is a lot more like it.
Well, the hourly rate, well, also we're talking about different ways.
Right.
I say just we're putting down a marker, a certain amount, we can figure out some of that, because that's the other thing, is if we advertise it at 20 an hour, say, and it doesn't draw anybody, we can move it up to, $20, 25 an hour. Or whatever, yeah.
Or you can advertise it without a number.
You have to advertise it.
For consultant?
No,
Oh, I don't know about
for
consultants.
employees, yes, for
If you're
consultants.
hiring somebody, yeah, but for consultant, you can advertise the task and say, what do you think it's gonna cost?
That's right, you can ask them to submit a proposal for their services and their charges.
You can ask them to lowball themselves.
Right, so once we get that, I may come back anyway to say,
Right.
we were totally off, or,
Nobody's coming, right?
Right.
or this looks good, it may not get us the full year, but yeah, at this point, by the time we build this and actually get it moving, it's gonna be into the year. So,
And your vision is, as is mine, an individual,
correct.
not a company.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think that.
But they won't be precluded, I would
Right.
say. But
But-
I wouldn't expect that the cost of a company would be way more than we expect to pay.
I would agree. And I think there are individuals out there who are looking for part-time work.
And I think somebody's gonna see this as an opportunity to kind of pad their resume, maybe. It's gonna look good applying for another job that you've done this. I think it's,
Someone who's interested in government.
right, yeah,
I
yeah.
really can run for the common council for the big bucks.
Decrease.
Oh,
That's right, there should be a decrease in there.
Yeah, a significant pay decrease. Okay, so,
I think it'll be fine.
Alright.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And we can always adjust it
Back to
later
the
if
drawing board
necessary.
at some point.
and I will do my best to keep you updated. I know give my update at the end of caucus. But I'll keep you updated as we progress.
And we'll
Where
be
would
able
you
to see
suggest that we find the money?
Without, in all these meetings, we really haven't had any substantive discussions about making any other changes. So, unless there are ideas on where to take it from, I would adjust the fund balance appropriation. But if you have ideas, this is the time. If there's changes in expenses or increases in revenue, whatever that is, but short of that, I would.
You mean the overall
Of
budget?
the overall budget, right, we have everything that we've talked about changing at these meetings, we've already passed the committee report on. If we're not looking to make any other substantive changes to any department budgets or revenue estimates, I would suggest appropriating fund balance for an additional 15,000.
which will not be a significant impact.
No, it wouldn't be a significant impact, it would keep the total amount to be raised by taxes the same as the mayor's recommended budget. So the council would be adjusting that number.
And at this point, you feel that we have a healthy fund balance, so.
We do.
The
We do.
the
I
amounts.
think that's the benefit
that's the-
of financially where we're at.
Mhm.
We have increased the fund balance appropriation year over year. Puts a little more pressure on, but I think we're right now at a status where we can, handle that.
Okay,
Can we then pause before we move forward with this for sure and just ask if anybody had any changes that they wanted to make to the budget? Because we haven't talked about any, but now is the time to.
This is the last item.
No, there's more, but just in case somebody's like, oh, I wanna give $1 million more to KPD and $1 million more to DPW, then that might change things. So before we make any change, I haven't heard from anybody that there's any significant change besides the two that we made, but now is the best time, in my opinion. So Naima, if you had any questions on any of the budget or anything,
No, I mean, you had said, we had talked about a change to the capital budget in
Right.
terms of DPW equipment, but other than that, we haven't really had any significant changes to talk about.
building safety, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, building safety.
Yeah.
Okay,
You want me to make that?
yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
I think this is gonna make a big difference. So
think
thanks
so too.
for supporting the idea.
All right. So everybody's clear then that we're going to take the $15,000 from fund balance, which is perfectly healthy at this point, and so this will not be in any way endangering our backup.
Neither of us read that out loud, so no.
Okay. Amend the 2024 general fund budget to add a consultant to the common council budget as follows. Increase a 1.1010.5411 by $15,000. Decrease fund balance appropriation, estimated financial impact, $15,000. Motion to discuss?
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Passes unanimously.
I'll read the next committee report. So keep in mind, the total spending in the budget now will, in the general fund will be $15,000. So, with the offset being the fund balance appropriation. So authorize 2024 general fund budget as amended with expenditures totaling $52,222,123. That's exactly $15,000 higher than the recommended. Yeah, the order I'm giving you right now is the order that they should be passed in,
Okay,
right? Because we want to do all the changes and then be,
great.
right?
Hey, Elisa, if you're there,
I'm here.
the order that we're passing everything tonight is the order that it needs to be in for Tuesday.
Okay, why don't you put the number up in the, like, the right-hand corner, tiny, and circle it.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Those initial changes could be in any order, but from this point on, it's important that they're.
Right, I remember this, I just wanted to. And we could always make the change on the floor, but. avoid that.
So John, let me just make sure here. The first one was the amend the general fund and sewer fund, $208,000 one.
Yes.
Are you good? Number?
The second one was the IT one. The third one was the common council raise, not raise, but salary reallocation. And the fourth one was the consultant. It should be number 5.
All right, so this one reads authorized 2024 general fund budget as amended with expenditures totaling $52,222,123. Motion to discuss? Motion. Chief Shabbat. Jensen. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Anybody in for goat yoga? Sorry, go ahead.
Next resolution is regarding the city tax, amount to be raised by taxes and tax levy. Authorize city's 2024 amount to be raised by taxes totaling $17,966,969 including a tax levy in the amount of $17,949,757.
And just for information, that represents a slight increase percentage-wise from previous budgets.
The total amount to be raised by taxes is an increase of 1.94% over prior year. The tax levy itself is up 1.98%. That number's up a little bit over the recommended budget due to the prorated tax being less. Once those numbers work out good, but total amount to be raised by taxes is the same as the mayor's recommended.
Yeah, great. And so keep in mind that for the previous 7 budgets, we did not raise these numbers at all. They've been the same for 7 years. So even this one would still count to some degree, given inflation, as a cut reduction of property tax rates. All right, motion to discuss?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm impressed that the taxes have been able to stay so much the same, and even now, they're going up so little, because in other municipalities, that is not the case. So I think it's a credit to Kingston, to the, and to the mayor, to the staff, to everybody.
Well, a crucial thing that the mayor has done is to increase our grant funding significantly. So that's been a major boon to us.
Yes,
We've also been fortunate in a particular location because it's drawn a lot of business to Ulster County in general. So we have benefited from these things. Yep. All right.
Helps to be the best city.
That's right.
We're number 1 in number 1. What do I say? Just make it clear. Got accused of being a socialist the other day, so I just want to make sure. All right. I'm sorry, did we vote on this one?
We did not,
we did not, no,
Oh,
we
okay.
were discussing.
we were discussing it, and
We're having
We need
too
a
much
motion
fun
to-
for a budget meeting. This isn't supposed to happen.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, next committee report, authorized 2024 sewer fund budget with expenditures totaling $6,155,769.
All right, motion to discuss? Motion. Steve Shabbat, second by Drew Andrews. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. This would be number 6.
This one would be 6, and that one would be 7.
7.
And I can look at the word.
Oh, yeah, just to.
This next one, I don't want to steal your thunder, Rennie. Authorized 2024 sewer use fee of $7.11 per unit.
This is just outrageous.
7-11.
7-Eleven. Why isn't it called Walmart? That's what I want to know.
so this is me.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, 7.
Seven.
That's number 7, Bob.
Okay.
It says it right there.
And that was the number 7. So that's number 8.
Anybody know what famous music, style of music was invented at a 7-Eleven?
No, please do.
Conjunto music, combination of German and Mexican styles at a 7-Eleven in South Texas. Because people gathered around to buy soda pop. It was like one of the few places that had a refrigerated soda pop storage thing. And it brought these 2 different cultures together, started melding the music. There you go.
So where's Pop? Where's he from? Pop.
The soda pop.
That's what they say over there.
I was gonna say something, but I figured I'd keep my mouth shut.
How old are you? Jeez.
Where I come from, everything that goes in is called Coca-Cola, and yet specify Apple. All right. Motion to discuss.
Second,
Second by Sarah Pasty. All right, so everybody's clear what this is, right? This is also a slight increase, right, John?
Yes, it is. That's an increase over prior year, and then the council, we added in the CSD increases, we took that from fund balance, so changed numbers there, but the prior year number was 5,558,322. Oh, you're talking about the rate, I'm sorry. The rate last year was $6.82 per unit.
$6.60.
It's a 4.31% increase in sewer fee,
4%.
4.31 increase percent.
All right, so any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. It's got a number on it, thank you.
So the next committee report, is why Dan Baker's here, is regarding the base proportion ratios. To give you some background, the mayor's budget recommended using after we've done the 0, 10, 20%, using the 0%, which would be 55.8195 homestead, 44.1805 non-homestead. What that does is when you use those figures and you look at the tax rates, with everything that we have right now, the homestead tax rate will go up 1.97%. The non-homestead rate would go up 1.35%. The other options would change that significantly. The homestead rate would go up even more, the non-homestead rate would not go up as much, or would go down. And if you have questions, Dan Baker's here to talk about the proportion ratios.
Dan Baker.
Hi,
Hi, thanks for being here.
no problem.
Can you just clarify why this choice of ratio this time around?
Well, I think, historically, the council has shifted tax responsibility from non-homestead to homestead. By selecting a percentage of shift, allowable percentage of shift. The way the market has reacted without us, without the council doing anything, that is happening this year, no matter what, at a 0% change because of the market share that the homestead class has taken on. All right, so it would be, if we were to select a percentage greater than 0, it would be more of a typical share than this council has historically been shifting from non-homestead to homestead. So this year, with a 0% change, automatically the homestead is taking on a bit more tax responsibility.
Right, and the homestead with the 0 change, with the 2023 tax levy, the homestead shared at 55.42%. That would go up automatically to 55.82%, so it's pretty slight. But it is still, we're still moving towards that, the goal the council has of trying to, equalize the difference in the homestead, non-homestead rates versus their assessed value. But the other options that we had on the board were, if you look at this option right there, just give me 1 second. A 10% shift would go from, so right now we're looking at 55.82 would be the recommended. If you did a 10% shift, it would go up from 55.82 to 57.54. That's almost it's over another point and a half. That would definitely drive up your homestead rates quite a bit. And I can run the numbers. I can tell you what they look like. Any scenario you want to see. But the mayor believed that this was most equitable. I agree with his assessment. The council, we have the option of doing any of these, but we're trying to make incremental shifts rather than radical shifts, and try to make them in the right direction. Which I do think that this accomplishes that goal.
Right?
Thank you.
Any questions? Right then?
I'll read the authorize moving the base proportion ratio to 55.819550, homestead 44.180509, non-homestead for the 2024 tax year. You don't have, Dan, do you have the attachment for that, the table?
I do with some notes on it.
At least it's fine, I can give it to you. Well, if we could even attach that to the committee report,
Just, the notes are just a date that it was sent to, yourself, the county council. So
that can just be attached there.
Because they see attached or just?
No, I don't think it needs to. It's good to have that as a backup.
File.
All right, motion to discuss? Second,
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
It's the same.
So the last item is the capital plan. We've interviewed all the different departments, we've gone through their capital requests and I think overall, there hasn't been any item that's, has to take off the list. At the fire department, building department, budget meeting, there was a question on the building department's vehicles. Andrea had emailed the mayor, asking questions about the need for, the reason for the hybrid versus, or not the hybrid, the SUV versus the sedan, why there's one of each instead of just two SUVs. I think the mayor's response was pretty consistent with what I had mentioned at the meeting. He did mention in his email, he would be amenable to amending the capital plan just to indicate that there'd be two vehicles with enough funding, increasing it to 110,000, which would be double the amount that he had for the SUV. So if that was the direction that, the mayor ultimately decided to go, he would have funding for the two SUVs.
I think I forwarded you all the thread.
So that would change the capital plan to a total of, last on $2,926,000.
Is everyone comfortable? I mean, it seems like at the meeting, everybody was comfortable.
It gives them flexibility, by not being specific, but just having a number in there, it gives them some flexibility, which I think you should have.
I'll read the committee report. Committee report would be approved bonding totaling $2,926,000 for the city's 2024 capital plan as per attached. I will now request the bonding resolution from bond council. Kind of, hopefully you can turn around very quick. We should be able to have it for Monday for caucus. Worst case, we have Tuesday for council meeting.
Okay.
All right, motion to discuss? Second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Buy a scooter for the common council?
I think so, they're dangerous.
Get a three-wheeled one.
I walk there, it's very cold, so could use a scooter.
All right,
You're right.
hearing no serious discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimous. There's two sheets there, please make sure they stay together. Is that it?
That is it. Well done.
This
Great.
is probably the easiest budget that I've been a part of.
I can tell you about legendary other one, but anyway,
So,
um,
don't get used to it.
well, I do want to say, John, thank you very much. We appreciate your long service to the city. We appreciate too the diligence with which you approach all of these issues, the help that you provided us, the guidance, the knowledge, and also your good cheer. We appreciate it
Thank
all.
It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure working with you all.
Process.
Yeah, we really appreciate you.
Dan,
I enjoy doing this.
you, however, are a troublemaker.
Oh, I know.
No, seriously, I thank you very much too for all the work that you do. I know it's really detail oriented and sometimes quite stressful when you're dealing with some of these numbers. So I appreciate you go through in your office to let them know that we are clear on.
You work with people like yourself and John, professional like John, so makes life good here.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Rennie. Move the process along very, very quickly and efficiently. Not quickness is always good, but this was good. And I thought it was a good budget, very little variance. Thanks, John, Dan, everybody who's here to help. Every step of the way, everything was explained very clearly. I don't think there was any doubts in anybody's minds. You know, it seemed like we did the right thing on all counts. Appreciate you guys being here. And council members for being here. This is usually a lot more strenuous process. This was, I'm gonna stop short of saying enjoyable. At least it wasn't treacherous like it has been in the past. So, thank you Rennie, for your guidance.
Yeah, I was gonna thank Rennie and everybody else, and also Sarah, because she doesn't actually serve on the finance committee, and has been to every single committee meeting for this.
Nice.
Yeah, because I want to learn, you know,
That is
what
what
the departments do.
That's what people should be doing, and I'm very grateful that you stepped up and into it, so.
It's been my pleasure. So.
I just want to add too, I mean,
And thank you
it's
for
good
this.
working with the council, I mean, and the mayor on this, and I want to give credit on public record to my staff, I have a good support staff. and
Yes.
They do a good job, not just on the budget, but on the account, everything that we need to do to get in position to do a good budget. And the department heads really, I think you saw during the meetings, right, they put a lot of thought into their budgets, they, really give a, provide a well thought out presentation to the mayor and to the council to review and look at, so it really does make it, easier in some ways, right, because you're dealing with some of these department heads been doing this for a while, they really put a lot of thought into it. So it doesn't take, as much editing, and adjusting, right, so, I think overall, it's just a good team we have here at the city, put these budgets together. One of the reasons why we've been able to hold the taxes to where they're at, and you are seeing other municipalities raise taxes year after year, particularly the cities. We've been able to do a good job of keeping our tax, rate at a very, modest amount in terms of, year over year increases, like I said. We had a decrease actually, the past prior, we had the $50,000 decrease. This is the first increase since 2016. It's still under 2%. So, I know we're gonna have some tougher challenges ahead. As the economy flattens out, we'll talk about it in some of the meetings, but for this year, I'm pleased with where we ended up. So, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, then, anybody want to adjourn?
Nah, let's hang out.
Yeah. Well, they opened up a Leafy Slice place over here, so.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night, thanks, Dave.
Good night.
And so I will officially cancel tomorrow's meeting. Unless anybody wants to just hang out.
Well, we don't have to do it here if we decide we want to.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.